Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kaizen Spotlight, where we have these very interesting conversations with Kaizen champions. And joining me this afternoon from Nairobi, Kenya, is somebody who's been a true friend, philosopher, and guide, not only to me, but to the Kaizen Institute. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome today Mr. Arun Devani. Mr. Devani, thank you very much for joining this conversation, sir.
Thank you, Jan San, and thank you, Vinod San, for inviting me. It's like you waking me up, stirring me up. I was a little complacent, quiet, and your email just wakes me up and so on. No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. So, my viewers, it's very important for me to formally introduce Mr. Arun Devani. He's an extremely interesting personality. He's achieved a lot of things in his life. Both from his, from a career perspective and contributions to both the business community and philanthropy. Mr. Arun Devani, of course, is a pharmacist from the University of Wales, Cardiff, and then he did his masters again from UK, and he has also done his management program from the Harvard Business School. He's a man who has spent several years in the chemical industry because he's a chemist, a pharmacist by training, and he's the chairman currently of Synresis, a company that he established several years ago, which is one of the leading manufacturers of resins, which goes into a lot of applications, including manufacturing of paints and glues and things like that. He's also the chairman of the First African Investment Limited. And of course, as I mentioned, he has contributed immensely to various institutions, like he's the trustee of the KEPSA Foundation. He was a past chairman of the East African Business Council. He was also the chairman of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, where I happened to meet him and interact with him. And he is also the director of KEPSA, etc. So apart from his wonderful contributions to these business association and business causes, he's also very interested in philanthropy, loves interacting with people, has been very active in various forums. So thank you very much, Arun San, for joining me. And I know from almost 16 years of our association with you, that you are a true believer in the spirit of excellence, in the spirit of Kaizen and continual improvement. So my first question to you, what about Kaizen appeals to you at an individual level?
Okay, we adopted Kaizen partly because at that time there were one or two companies, if you remember, Spindit, whom I've always admired, and Bitco had just started, and you had taken the company which supplies NAS, was supplying food to the aeroplane and so on, and I saw the results. And I think just the very first few sessions converted me to Kaizen. What I realized is, instead of me doing all the work and talking, Kaizen took the issues and the problems and the challenges to the bottom of the pyramid, meaning the managers, of course, but even the workers. And I remember my first experience, first year's 5 journeys, 3 journeys, or 4 journeys, I can't remember now. All of a sudden, you could see the effect of it first in the 5K, which was cleanliness and being organized and so on. And then, of course, few more journeys, I realized that we were passing the responsibility down the line. And that was the most exciting part, because until then, if you are an entrepreneur, you are basically managing everything. And as you and I have interacted, and you know, I was spending 30%, 35% of all my time on the lobby groups, the business lobby groups, and the few exciting things that I used to enjoy outside my business, philanthropy and so on. I was not being able to be hands-on, supervising every letter details. So Kaizen helped me identify individuals who were compassionate, passionate. We were able to draw out their job description, and then from there we went to operating procedures and then draw out the SOPs and so on. And initially, of course, it was organizing. But I think it was the third or the fourth year when I took a decision that whether it's Kaizen or whatever we do has to be converted into dollar sign. And I think this is when we realized the ocean country side of the business and so on. And we started giving everyone within the organization a dollar challenge. And so what happened was it took us almost 7, 8 years. Like every Kaizen practitioner knows, you tend to slip if you are not concentrating on it. Then you undo, and we would sleep, then we would bounce back and get another enthusiast Kaizen supervisor and so on. It took us almost 10 to 12 years to get to a stage. We managed to survive all the time. It was hard work. We managed to pay all the bills, everything on time. But it wasn't until about 13 or 14 years that we found that reducing waste was reducing cost. So in other words, we were able to withstand the competition. We were not making serious profit, but we were able to withstand. But overall, as I stand, I have a CEO who's very young, 34-year-old, and in last 3 years' time, she has taken the company to a much higher level, both in terms of turnover and also Kaizen. But it gave us a stability, so much so that there were periods when I used to travel away for months and months. The business ran without me. And
that's a very important point, yeah.
That has been the most important learning from Kaizen, that you can set up a system. Yes, you will always have people, and we live in a culture where there's a lot of frauds and a lot of thefts and so on, but we were able to control, survive and make profit.
Thank you, sir. Fantastic, very inspiring. Now, I wanted to, as I mentioned, we have a crunch on time. Wanted to ask you quickly about how you, took Kaizen from a philanthropic angle. Can you share a little bit what triggered you to look at MP Shah Hospital and connect the dots and bring Kaizen into this? Very quickly, if you can touch on this, sir.
Being a philanthropic family, a hospital in Nairobi, which is run on the more on a charity basis, funded by our Indians, mainly Gujaratis. They were always demanding good commitment in terms of donation. And I said, I'll give you a donation which is not money, because we saw them growing. We saw MP Shah Hospital growing substantially. At one time, they were employing 400 people, then 600 and 700. I came in when they were employing just over 700 people, and I saw a lot of inefficiencies. And it took a few months to explain them what it was. And the only way I knew they would adopt this is to say, not only I will drive it for you, not that I'm a specialist like you or Gopi and others, but I will push and be little, hold their hands. And also we gave a family donation for the first program. And I think the rest is the history. They saw the changes, they saw the organization, they saw the transformation. And since then, they have been driving the program. And I think among the 3 large hospitals in Kenya, although MP Shah is the smallest of them, it is possibly the best run and most profitably run organization that I know. All the other 2 are going through a lot of challenges, losses, thefts, and so on. So in a small way, I'll take a little pride to say between your institution, Kaizen Institution, and myself, we help them transform into one. Since then, you have to look at their growth. Since then, they have grown and grown. Yes, right now, of course, they're having their own challenge because of the COVID. As you know, people don't want to go near hospital unless they have to. So they're having slightly challenge, but they're still managing the cash flow.
Yeah.
which is very important, which is not the case with the other two hospitals.
Fantastic. So, Devani San, I'm going to ask you very, very interesting insights about your journey and how also the inspiration that you got from your business sort of prompted you to also look at some, philanthropy. And as you mentioned, instead of giving cash, you sort of introduced and gifted Kaizen to this hospital, which really helped them move forward. I would love to have a longer conversation with you, but our format, is people don't have the patience to listen to long conversation nowadays. So it has to be. But before I close, I want to ask you a very quick few rapid questions. So just some fun facts. So what is the book you're currently reading, or what is the last book you read?
Oh, I just finished 10 days ago Obama's book. Um,
Ah,
and I tell you, it was very interesting because it's something that you can visualize happening in front of your eyes, because it happened. Well, Donald Trump was there for 4 years, and he was 8 years before that. And and I do read a lot of international materials. Still very fan of Richard Quest and others. You could see the events in the world happening and his challenges. The book is extremely inspiring to say what you see in the newspapers and the decision making sometimes has a far more deep thinking behind it, different events that you are not aware of it, and so on. So I thoroughly enjoyed that book. And the second one I'm reading parallelly, there's an American author by the name of Duniger. She has written a book which is about 1,200 pages on Hinduism. I tell you, it's so difficult to read, but every evening, just before going to bed, I'll try and go through 5 pages, 6 pages, and this is just to sort of see what is the origin of the religion that we follow. Having said that, I'm not a fanatic, I'm not a fundamentalist. I've read Quran, I've read Bible. I still see various programs on Bible, which is very nicely done. But also Hinduism, Buddhism. This is just to satisfy my inner self. And to say, well, how does religion origin? And as you know, the religions have caused more wars, more fights, more challenges than anything else. Yes, there is a fight between Pfizer and Moderna and so on, but that's nothing compared to what the religion did, whether in Europe or Far East or India or so on.
so I know you love golf. You played a lot of golf in your life. What was your best handicap?
Oh my goodness. Jan, I am going to be very honest. I was taught by my mother, because I lost my father at an early age. And I'm going to say it in Gujarati and then try and translate it into English. She always said that rotlo pella, pache everything else. Meaning rotlo is your bread and butter first. Whether you are an owner of the company or what, if you do not look after your business,
Yeah.
Yes, you can have an organized business, CEO, and so on. You would not really succeed. You'll have to develop a close eye and attention to your business. So what it did was to keep my handicap. The best I ever reached was 18.
Wow.
No, right now I'm 26. But it's something that I do it as a relaxation, meeting people. I'm a social person. I still enjoy meeting people and talking about anything and everything. That's all I can answer.
And which leader is the most inspiring leader for you?
Having read Obama and considering he's half Kenyan or Kenyan blood, the reason why I've started admiring him is that if you look at the challenge which he had as a minority tribe, um, both not as a country, as a population, but also in the House of their Congress and so on, and being able to survive and able to do things, and having had to work so hard, and at the same time be a great diplomat. When you consider his diplomacy with Donald Trump, I don't have to tell you more. I honestly take my hat off at what he had gone through, considering he started with no political background or money.
Okay.
In terms of business, of course, there are lots of people. Uh, but last few weeks, I'm admiring my youngest daughter. With nothing in Palo Alto, she and her team of 4 people are starting up a new business related to hospital, where she had no experience there. And after 2-3 years of tears in her eyes, I can see the success coming in. And you admire the young people, the energy they have, the ambition they have, and persistency, sheer persistency. There are times when I know she's short of money, but she'll not extend hand to parents, and still accepting the challenge. And I think I admire a lot of young people all over the world who are taking the challenge and making some sort of breakthrough in different aspects.
Thank you. So that is exactly what I wanted to ask you. What is your message to young leaders, to young managers today? And it is this generation, which is going to lead us into the future. And as always, I've always enjoyed my conversations with you over dinner or a shot of whiskey. Thank you so much, sir, for your time today. And I hope that we will be able to have another conversation on a few other topics in a coming episode. Otherwise, Devani San, absolute pleasure to have you join us today. Thank you so much for your time, and stay safe. Thank you, sir.